Ladies and gentlemen, it really gives me a great deal of pleasure to introduce the one and the only, Jerry Reed.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you. You know, after that introduction, I don't know whether y'all deserve me or not. But we are going to have some fun. Now, you know, I haven't done a live album like this since Hitler was a corporal. We're going to do a song that I wrote, and I will just dedicate this to the tender gender, you beautiful female creatures. Kick it off, boys. Psychology, or no professor with a PhD, but you don't need no college degree to see that you looking good. I'll never be no Einstein scientifically, figuring them figures out mathematically, but I show no figures biologically. Now, honey, I can see that your anatomy is looking good. What a sassy little chassis. Oh, honey, you looking good. Hey, lover, they ought to put you on the cover of a fashion magazine. Baby, you looking good. Just a little bit trashy. Honey, you looking good. I think I've just discovered the lover in all of my dreams. You such a sexy little kitten in them tight-fitting jeans, so sweet and delicious, like peaches and cream. You ought to be up on the big silver screen, 'cause honey, I mean, you looking good. Let's give Bobby Lovett a round of applause. Glad hop on, Bobby. Kick it, son. Well, you looking good. What a sassy little chassis. You looking good. Hey, lover, they ought to put you on the cover of a fashion magazine. Baby, you looking good. Just a little bit trashy. I've just discovered the lover I see in my dreams. Ain't nobody gonna steal you away, 'cause I done called up Rambo and the CIA. I'm keeping both eyes on the merchandise, 'cause honey, you looking good, real good. Have I mentioned that I've been paying close attention to your feminine dimensions? And you looking good. Yeah. Song. Oh, yeah. Well, thank you. Now, ladies, listen, I ain't no Sigmund Freud, but I got to tell you something. I don't think that you ladies fully appreciate the effect you have on our lives. Now listen to this. Can you hear my guitar? I'm wonderful. I took out your photograph from our old dresser drawer. I set it on the table and I talked to it till 4. And then I saw your nightie on the table by the phone. So I've been sitting alone, trying stuff on. Then I looked through your jewelry for your clip-on hoop earrings, your lipstick and your makeup. your accessories and things. Then I plundered through your closet till I found an extra long. And I've been sitting at home trying stuff on. Trying stuff on.
Trying stuff on.
I'm trying stuff on.
Trying stuff on.
Your 6-inch heels and your Fabergé cologne. Oh, you left me with your memory and the wardrobe that you own. So I've been sitting at home trying stuff on. I put on your sequin ball gown and I checked the mirror there. I look like Cindy Crawford, but with much more body hair. And then I thought, why, I'm much too cute to sit here all alone. So now I'm at happy hour with your stuff on. This trucker made a pass at me, so I hit him with your purse. And this police stepped between us before things got much worse. And then that nice policeman said, "Can I take you home?" He didn't know it was me with your stuff on. With your stuff on.
Your stuff on.
I've got your stuff on.
Your stuff on.
Your fishnet hose and your Fabergé cologne. Oh, you left me with your memory and the wardrobe that you own. But I don't pay for drinks with your stuff on. Thank you, kid. While I was doing that song, I made up my mind that I wanted to share a story with you people. It's a true story. I ain't making any of this up. This really happened. I worked about 20 shows for the United States Air Force over in the Far East. We worked the Philippines, Okinawa, Japan, and Korea. Had a wonderful time. And while we were over there, the Air Force was nice enough to ask old Jerry if he would like to ride in one of them sophisticated F-16 airplanes. And I was dumb enough to say, yeah. So this general, he says, okay, when you get to Misawa, Japan, I'll arrange it. I'll have it all arranged for you. I said, fine. So we land in Japan. I'm walking off the plane, and I see this Jeep just barreling across that tarmac. And there's this dude sitting in there, and he got a cigar sticking out his face. And he runs up to the screeching halt and jumps out of that Jeep. He runs over and he says, "You Jerry Reed, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Boy, I'm glad to meet you. I'm the one who's going to take you for a ride in that F-16 plane." And I said, "Great." He said, "Yeah, my name's Bubba." "Excuse me, just your name's Bubba?" He said, "Yeah." I get in the Jeep with Bubba. I find out a lot about him. He's a colonel. And he never, ever plans to be no general. Don't want to be no general. Because when you become a general in the Air Force, they stash you behind a desk and you push a bunch of papers. And he likes to fly the airplanes and mess with the toys and fly with the boys. So consequently, he's been a colonel for 85 years. He takes me to this big old warehouse, right? Drops me off and leaves me there with a lieutenant who happens to be a beautiful young lady. And he said, "Now I'm going to go down and warm up the plane, and they'll bring it down there when we finish. We'll go fly." I said, "Fine, Bubba." So I introduced myself to the lady, and I said, "What are we going to do, honey?" She says, "Follow me." We're walking in the building. She says, "I'm going to brief you on egress training." I says, "Excuse me, what did you say?" I said, don't egress mean get out of? She said, yeah. I said, well, honey, I got a flash for you. I ain't going to be getting out of nobody's F-16. But you have to do this in order to fly because they don't let anybody fly in them airplanes. And when you do, you have this stringent thing. I said, okay, fine, let's go. So we walk in there and she says, and the first thing I've got to do is fit you for a parachute. Well, I'm thinking, Delta Airlines don't make me wear no parachute. You go in there, and there's a ceiling about the height of this, and they got this parachute harness hanging from the ceiling. What it is, it straps, and you step into the bottom of the parachute down there. It got straps down the front, straps down the back on both sides, and you hook down, and you hook them down here, and you straddle. So I jump in there, and I grab these on this side, and I hook them in the straddle, and I grab these over here, and I hook him in the straddle, and the last guy to wear this parachute was little Jimmy Dickens. You know? She said, is that tight, Mr. Reed? I said, well, I wasn't talking this high a minute ago. So we finally get my voice back down to normal. I throw it over in the pile. She says, now you're going to be flying over the sea of Japan. So you need one of these. And she handed me this rubber suit. Must have weighed 40 pounds. I said, fine. I threw that over there in my pile. And she said, now put this on. I said, what is that? She said, this is a G suit. And I'm like, y'all, I don't. I said, what's a G suit? Well, what a G suit is, friends, is when you get in these really fast, highly maneuverable F-16 airplanes, everything is at high speeds. And the G stands for gravity suit. Because when you make a turn as fast as they go, sometimes you put 6, 7, 8 G's on you. And with each G-force, you can double your weight. So my weight, if I have 6 G's on me, I'm going to weigh in the neighborhood of 1,000 pounds. See? And it's very scientific. It goes over your legs, you know, then it comes over your thighs, and it fits around the abdomen down here, see, like this. And when you're diving down and he pulls out that dive and then G's hit you like this, see. Well, actually what it does, it keeps the top of your body from going out the bottom of your body. You know what I mean? That's what it actually does. Then I threw that over there in my pile. And she says, follow me. So we go over to this table. And there's this cushion. They got this cushion that sits on the seat of your F-16 fighter plane. And she says, I want to introduce you and brief you on your survival cushion. I'm not liking her choice of words here at all. See, I'm not having a good time with this. And she unzips that thing, and they got everything in there. They got a 2-way radio, flares, strobe lights. They got bee sting, snake bite kit, M&Ms. They got everything you think of. I looked in there, and I saw this pint bottle of water. And I said, excuse me, is that water there? She said, yes. I said, well, what do you put? Got to have water in your survival cushion? She said, well, we've learned through experience that when a pilot ejects from an F-16 airplane, it's usually he's in dire straits, he's in emergency. And when he ejects, he's under a lot of pressure, stress. And when he lands on the ground, he's usually dehydrated. And the first thing he wants is a drink of water to replace the fluids, you know. And I said, all right, well, maybe you better put 2 or 3 of them in there for me, honey. Because if Bubba and me eject out of that airplane, my body's just going to squirt water all over the heavens. I'm talking a quart load of you, honey. And I really got into that survival cushion now. See, I want my survival cushion. I don't know. I'm looking at it, there's a little vial in there. I said, what is that? She said, well, I'm glad you asked. Let's say that you and Bubba have actually ejected into the Sea of Japan, all right? And you're bobbing up and down out there, and you're 2 little bitty guys. And we're up here at thousands of feet, and we're looking for you. And we can't see you, but you can see us. What you do is you take this little vial, you break it into and introduce it into the seawater. And what it does, it puts kind of a yellow orange stain around you, and we can see you from way up in the sky. Well, I thought about that. And I said, Tell you what, I'm going to save the Air Force some money. I think you can put that little vial back on the shelf, because if Bubba dumps me in the Sea of Japan, honey, I'm going to leave a stain all the way to Tokyo. Finally, I get through all this. Now I got to put this stuff on with a helmet. Man, I look like I'm ready to walk on the moon. I must have weighed 240 pounds. I ride down there and I barely get out of the Jeep. It takes 3 crew members to get me in the airplane. I thought they was going to get block and tackle. They finally get me in that F-16. And they're huge. You know, they're huge. And 2 guys strap me down, you know, and then Bubba crawls in and he hits that button and that bubble canopy goes. I'm in there with Bubba now. Bubba said, Jerry, let me brief you on this airplane. Have you ever flown one of these? And I said, no, don't worry about it, Bubba. I've flown a lot of them 747s. He said, well, this airplane's a little different, Jerry. He says it weighs 23,000 pounds, and the engine has 24,000 pounds of thrust. You have 1,000 more pounds of thrust than you do body weight, so it will go straight up in the air. But when I take off, Jerry, I'm going to use the afterburner. And he says, what that does is that increases our thrust 3-fold. Now, I ain't no Albert Einstein, but I figured out real quick that I'm sitting in a 23,000-pound plane with in the neighborhood of 75,000 pounds thrust, right? So I ain't in an airplane no more. I'm sitting straddle of a rocket and Bubba's driving. He said, now, when I hit the afterburner, I don't want you to be alarmed. You're going to hear 5 explosions, but you're in no danger. What's happening is the F-16 is merely dumping raw fuel into the exhaust pipe, and it's igniting, and what you're hearing is the boom of the fuel, and each time you hear an explosion, we're going to pick up speed. And by the time we get down to the end of this runway, we're going to be doing in the neighborhood of 450 miles an hour. And he said, oh, by the way, your band has requested and received permission to sit at the end of the runway in this observation booth and take pictures as we go by. He said, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this airplane at about 30 feet. And when we go by, you can wave at your band real quick. And then, Jerry, hang on for the damnedest elevator ride you ever had in your life. And with that, he said, are you ready? You know. And as macho as I could sound, I said, goes that thing, Bubba. And with that, friends, Bubba put it in the afterburner, and that was the end of Jerry Reed. I have never felt nothing like that in my life. About 3 G's hit me and slammed me back against that seat. And I knew there had to be 2 black holes in my head where my eyeballs used to be, because they had to be back here somewhere in my skull. And that F-16 literally leapt off that ground. And here we go. I looked down and my belly didn't stick out no more. And boy, I heard them 5 pops. Boom, 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 boom. Then I heard the 6th boom, and that wasn't that jet airplane either. Man, we're going out through there, and Bubba gets that thing about 30 feet off the ground. He says, Jerry, there's your band over there at the right. He said, wave at him. And I said, and suddenly Bubba just jerked that stick back. And that F-16 shot straight up in the sky. And suddenly, I ain't got no neck. It's buried down here in the lower regions of my body. You know what I mean? And I remember I wanted to scream. I tried desperately to scream. but I couldn't get my upper lip off my lower lip. Here we go. And Bubba finally levels that F-16 airplane off. And I want to know how high we was, so I scraped my breakfast off at altimeter. And we were at 16,000 feet, and I glanced down at my watch, and we've been flying 12 seconds. Well, I guess Bubba must have sensed that he had a civilian in the back of his airplane. Because he said, well, now, Jerry, we're going to fly along here straight and level for a while and kind of gather ourselves together. I said, Bubba, gathering is good. So as we're flying along there, he said, you know, we don't do this frequently. He said, allow people to fly in these airplanes. So what I'd like to do is ask you, do you want the abbreviated tour or you want the whole package? Well, I'm in it now. I said, well, Bubba, just give me the whole package. And with that, he proceeded to go insane. Bubba went through every maneuver the Air Force ever showed him in his natural life. He turned to the right real hard, and I pulled about 5 G's. And then he flipped that thing on his head, and I looked straight up, and I'm seeing the ground. Next thing, I look up, and I'm seeing the sky, and he's doing this, he's doing that. And finally, he said, now, Jerry, we're going to do a loop. And he put that old F-16 in a straight dive, and he must have dove 50 miles. And I mean, that plane was screaming. And he said, hang on, and he jerked that thing back. And them G's hit me, and I remember thinking, I hope that pretty lieutenant put some preparation H in that survival cushion. Bubba said, he said, we're blowing it out now, ain't we, Jerry? I said, yeah, my exhaust is exhausted. Then we get up there, and he said, well, now, we're over the Sea of Japan. We're over the Sea of Japan. We are going to go supersonic. And he hit that afterburner again, and here we tore out, and we broke the sound barrier, and you ain't never heard a noise like that in your life. I said, Bubba, what's that noise? He said, Jerry, what's that odor? I said, never mind, Bubba, just outrun it. Are you with me? I'm taking you with me. And he's flying along, and he said, you know, we can't stay in afterburner too long. We run low on gas. I said, I'm already low on gas, Bubba. He said, well, hang on, I'm going to slow this thing down. And at 1,200 miles an hour, and Bubba puts on the brakes. Now, there ain't nobody briefed me on negative G. You know, reverse G's, none of that stuff. And I don't know if you've ever been traveling 1,200 miles an hour and somebody scream on the brakes and he hit that thing and my lips nearly popped off. Then we're flying along and he says, Jerry, he said, we've been out here so long that I'm out of fuel and I'm going to have to go back to the air base. I said, imagine that. So we fly back. In a minute, them wheels hit that terra firma. I'm a different man. Suddenly I turned into John Wayne. I know I'm going to live. We taxied that big old airplane back to the hangar and the band's all rushing out. Me and Bubba crawl out. Bubba says, how the takeoff look, guys? And my guitar player said, well, it looked kind of funny, Bubba. What do you mean? He said, well, it's the first time I've ever seen a jet airplane take off with a brown stream behind it. True story now. I ain't lying. What I'm going to do is a song entitled The Bird, okay? And I've got to have some help. I want you to meet Dennis Boriski from Wisconsin. I hired this fellow several years ago because he looks like Albert Einstein. On a drunk. And he's going to help me do The Bird, but I want you to get your hands together and say hello to a very, very talented guy. I just met him here recently. I love him to death. Where are you, Hal Coleman? Say hello to Hal. Hal? Oh, gee, there he is. Now, you stand right there.
Right here?
And we're going to try a little bit of The Bird, okay? Are you ready? Here we go. There's that boy. I'd know him anywhere. Well, sir, my throat was dry and it was getting late, and I was at this bar on an interstate when this dude with a bird on his shoulder come walking through the door. He proceeded to tell me the wildest thing. He said, son, this bird can sing like no other bird you ever heard before. Well, I looked at the nut. I said, oh, really? He turned to the bird and he said, do old Willie. When the bird started singing, well, I nearly fell in the floor.
Whiskey River, take my mind.
Huh?
Don't let her memory torture me.
Are you listening to that?
Whiskey River, don't run dry.
Wait a minute.
You're all I've got to take care of me.
Huh? How does he do that? Well, I thought to myself, what a heck of a thing a man would get rich making that bird sing. And this wild idea started coming on. Besides, I'm sitting here with 2 weeks' pay. Probably blowing on beer anyway. He said, wait till you hear this bird sing like George Jones.
He stopped loving her.
Huh?
They placed a wreath upon his door.
You gotta be kidding.
And soon they'll carry him away. He stopped loving her again.
What have you got in there? That's incredible. That beats all I've ever heard of. I said, okay, that does it, sir. I want to buy that bird. Think $500, take them off your hands. Well, he thought for a while. Then he said, all right. Then he handed me the bird. Then he said good night, but I noticed he was really counting my money as out the door he ran. Well, I done thought I'd found the rainbow's end. Money just be pouring in. When suddenly the bird just flew out the window and he was gone. That's when it hit me. And I got mad because I knew I'd been had. And as that bird flew off into the night, he was singing this song.
On the road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again.
My bird!
Life I love is making money with my friends.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to get on the road again.
Somebody stop my bird!
On the road again.
I guess he's winging it.
Just can't wait to get on the road again.
Anybody got a BB gun?
The life I love is making money with my friends. I can't wait to get on the road again.
Sing it, bird.
On the road again.
There he goes.
Just can't wait to get on.
Dennis Boriski. Hal Coleman. Thank you, Hal.
Song. She had style and grace, a gorgeous face, just my taste in a woman. She was a long-legged, lean, sexy looking thing, and she had no idea what was a-coming. I said, boy, wait till she gets a load of me. Stand back and watch me have some fun. 'Cause I've had her kind of show. I'm gonna have one more knocked on my gun. You dog. Well, at first, everything was working like a dream. I had her eating out of my hand. But as time went on, things went to going wrong. And it wasn't very long till she messed up my plans. Boys, I just couldn't sleep at night. I lost my appetite. I dreamed about her loving constantly. It seems like I neglected to expect the unexpected, and she took her love and blindsided me. Yes, she blindsided me, blindsided me. Brother, you can't look what you can't see. Love ain't fair, it caught me unaware, and it's looking there and blindsided me. Song. That the best laid plan of mice and man can go him up. Boys, it's a little bit late to holler wait after you've been hit by a truck. And I guess I couldn't see the forest for the trees. Now I'm gonna be a long time in the woods. While I was playing games, she was taking aim, and she took her love and stuck it to me good. Blindsided me, love blindsided me. Brother, you can't look what you can't see. Love ain't fair, it caught me unaware, and it's looking there and blindsided me. Blindsided me, love blindsided me. Brother, you can't look what you can't see. Love ain't fair, it caught me unaware, and it's looking there and blindsided me. Oh yeah, blindsided me, love blindsided me. Brother, you can't look what you can't see.
I want to go on record as dedicating these next two songs to my favorite all-time sitcom comic, Jackie Gleason. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Working with Jackie Gleason and Smokey and the Bandit and being able to hang around that dude was one of the rare experiences in my life. He truly was the great one. And what you saw was what you got. I mean, that was Jackie. I mean, you know, he'd come on the set and he was the great one. His golf clubs were gold, and they had the great one written on them. And his golf bag had the. But I grew up like so many of us here that they're my age. Back in the days of Uncle Milty and Jack Benny and those guys, and when the Honeymooners came on, that was the end of me. Ralph Cramden is the greatest character I've ever seen in my life. And these songs I'm going to sing to you, I want you to think of him when you hear these songs. And the first one I'm going to do is kind of a parody, a spoof on the song My Way, okay? And I kick it off with my guitar, kind of like this. I was driving home from work one day when I heard this song on the radio play. Now, I really liked what the words had to say. The song was called I Did It My Way. Well, as I listened, the words stirred my very soul. 'Cause up till now it seemed that my whole life had been controlled and manipulated by everybody else. I thought it was time I made up my mind for myself. So that's when I decided to just turn my car around, go back and join the boys at this little bar downtown, where they all got together. After work every day, I walked in and said, boys, it's time I've done it my way. Well, I bought the first round and the party was on. I soon forgot that the wife had supper on the table at home, 'cause there was lots of pretty ladies. We partied all night. I didn't get home till way past midnight. And then I wish I hadn't done it my way. My wife didn't like that too well. She was armed and waiting when I snuck in the house. Suddenly all the lights come on and then all my lights went out. Oh, I wish I hadn't done it my way. Look at all these lumps on my head. And the doctor said the swelling won't be gone for several days. Son, all I got to say is I wish I hadn't done it my way. Awesome. Look at it. Now there's two sides to a nickel, and there's two sides to a dime. There's always two sides. My wife's a mine, and she knows 2 or 3 ways to skin a cat. Matter of fact, I got some skin might not never grow back. Oh yeah, you can do it your way and be your own man. You can hold your fate and destiny in your hands. But boys, just be sure that your way is the way you really want. 'Cause I found out that the best way to do sometimes is don't. Oh, I wish I hadn't done it my way. My wife didn't like that one bit. She just took and body slammed me, broke out my front teeth, jerked out all of my hair, and then cracked what's underneath. I wish I hadn't done it my way. I'll think it over next time. There I laid in the floor all sore and hurting, thought I was facing my final curtain. But one thing's for sure and certain, boys, why did I have to marry a lady wrestler? She piled drive my head in the floor. She took my nose and tried to knock it into my watch pocket. I thought she'd never stop it. The last Bubba I was in a fast machine with was a bass fishing Bubba. I'll never forget it. I met him at 3:30 in the morning. And we're sitting there, and the fog is so thick you can cut it with a knife. And we're tying on top water lures at 3:30 in the morning because we got to go way down the lake. And he wants to get there for the early fishing. So we get tied on, and he says, let's go, Jerry. Well, his friend is sitting over in the boat next to us. He said, Bubba, I believe I'd wait on the fog to lift. Bubba said, nonsense, I know this lake like the back of my hand. Said, come on, Jerry. So we left. Got out to the no-wake buoy, had a 200 horsepower engine on that boat. Put it to the wall. Well, friend, we tore off down that lake in the middle of that fog, and I bet you we ain't gone 300 yards till we done hit the bank and flew 50 yards up in the woods. It sounded like a plane crash. Well, the noise dies down, and we hear Bubba's Buddy from the boat dock idling real slow up the bank. He gets even with us and he shouts up in there. He says, "How's the fishing up there, Bubba?" Bubba said, "It ain't worth a damn. The lake's falling too fast." Say hello to Dennis Boriski again. Come up here, Din. See, this particular song deals with a man and woman relationship. So when you're dealing with emotions, you have to make sure that everything is perfect. Now, Dennis, I trust with my life. And so I turned my lyrics over to him with explicit instructions. I said, "I want you to paint me a musical tapestry on this intro befitting this body of work. And like you, this is the first time I will hear it." So Din. I can't look at him. At your leisure. Me and my sweetheart Thelma had been dating for so long that I started getting bored. Some of that old fire was gone. I decided I was going to fix it. What I needed was a plan to shake things up and get them old juices flowing again. Then I got to watching this TV soap, a show about this guy that got bored with his lover. So one day he just told her goodbye. His plan was to leave and go away for a while and let her sit there all alone so that she could see how lonely she'd be when she saw that he was gone. Well, it left her devastated, but it worked like a charm. 'Cause she walked the floor and longed once more to take him in her arms. And that climax was something I couldn't wait to see. Then they come and repossessed my TV. But I already knew what old Jerry was going to do. So we were sitting there alone one night on Thelma's Dalvanette when I told her goodbye. And I'll never forget, she cried and screamed and pitched a fit. It was plain to see that she couldn't bear the thought of losing me. Then, when I got home, my brother Hank said, "What is going on?" He told me that Thelma called just squalling on the phone. I said, "Well, it's simple, Hank. I think you'll understand. You see, tonight, I brought our romance to an end. Then I just let her stew for a week or two, and I knew it was tough. Then I decided I'd let poor Thelma suffer long enough. So I called to tell her that she could finally quit crying the blues. And her codaphone said she was gone on a Caribbean cruise. If it ain't broke, you better leave it alone. Don't try to fix it, 'cause you might fix it wrong. Instead of fooling with it, sometimes it's best not to mess with things. You might get things all in a mess. Why waste time putting your mind all in a bind? If it's working fine, then fine. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Fix it, son. Then I decided I'd go see Thelma one night after work. Tell her I was sorry that I acted like such a jerk. Then I was going to ask her if she would be my wife. But friends, when I walked in, I got the shock of my life. There she sat on the davernette, hugging my brother Hank. I said, Thelma, I don't know what to think. She said, well, it's really simple, Jerry. I think you'll understand, you see. One day you walked out on me and Hank just walked right in.
If it ain't broke, you better leave it alone.
Thelma!
Don't try to fix it, 'cause you might fix it wrong.
Oh, Thelma,
Instead of fooling with it,
it might be best not to mess with things. You might get things on in a mess. Why waste time putting your mind all in a bind? If it's working fine, then fine. If it ain't broke, then brother, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, just leave it alone. Thank you.